What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about how we are all surrounded by unwritten rules. Some of them make a lot of sense on the outside. Don't walk down the middle of the street. Don't take a nap in the middle of the train tracks. Now, most of these common rules actually are pretty helpful, but most Americans are overweight, unhealthy, stressed about their finances, living above their means. It's not a good dream that's going on right now. So if you don't want to end up like everybody else, working most of your life for money, then you have to do things differently than everybody else, and you have to break the rules just a little bit. Retirement as a goal. Most people work at a few different jobs for about 40 years, and then when they're 65, they finally retire, and then you kind of like enjoy the fruits of your labor. Take into account that I'm 24, but I don't think this is great advice to work the best years of your life when you're able to do the most things, when you're able to have the most experiences and kind of save it all up for the end. Once people retire, they end up dying relatively quickly once you stop having kind of like a meaningful life because you're not really doing anything anymore. You lost a lot of your identity. So you end up dying relatively quickly once you start retiring if you stop taking action. So instead, I recommend trying to design your lifestyle so that you can have little mini retirements now and have a much more flexible lifestyle. And instead of taking that 20 years at the end of your life, trying to spread that out to a few months a year or whatever works best for you, whatever your goals are, and to start enjoying life now and really living life now. How I'm trying to do this is once the world opens back up, I'm gonna try to take one 3 to 7 day trip every single month, and then eventually probably next year I'm gonna try to take one complete month and travel somewhere again if the world opens back up. I don't know if that's gonna happen, because I always had things in my life where after I move, after my job changes, after this happens, I'll be able to go out and experience life and travel and do these things. So instead of looking at, well, 5 years from now or 3 years from now or 10 years from now I'm gonna live that lifestyle, I'm trying to set up my life where 6 months from now or 3 months from now or next month I'm gonna start taking action and really doing something every single day to get closer to that lifestyle. Go to school, get a good education. Now again, this isn't for everybody. This is just my personal opinion as some random dude on the internet. A lot of people recommend that you go to school, you get a really good school, and you get a good education, you get a good job, whatever. I think that's kind of horrible advice if your goal is to reach financial independence and have like a financially fit type of life. Like, that might have been a good idea a long time ago from our parents' generation, but it's not great right now. It's definitely not necessary. If your goal is to be successful, it's 100% not necessary unless you're gonna try to be a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or something where you actually need that. Spending 4 years of your life paying tens of thousands of dollars studying something, and then most people, they change their majors like multiple times throughout that experience, and then most people don't actually get jobs in their field that they studied. I just think that it's a lot of time that you could have been spending building a business, investing, working for a company, gaining experience, earning money. Like right now I'm 24 and I've been working, well, since I was like 11, but if I had stopped working and gone to college, I would have had no money to start investing in real estate and buying rental properties, and I wouldn't have the freedom I have now, and I'd have to have like a real job in order to pay for the debt and like all this stuff. So I think if your goal is to be financially independent, anybody can reach that in their mid-20s if they don't go to school. If they do go to school, then they're gonna end up having to pay all that debt off, or if they don't have any debt, that'll be a lot of money that they weren't able to invest. So I think actually going out and working and gaining experience is gonna be a lot more useful unless you have to go into one of those jobs where you absolutely need it. A lot of CEOs talk about now that they don't worry so much about the degree as they do look at people's experience. If you built a business, if you managed a company, or you did whatever, that's gonna be a lot more useful than just a degree.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school.
Get a good high-paying job. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money on a high-paying job, but a lot of those people don't really enjoy themselves while they're doing that. And a lot of times you end up with other people around you and you have lifestyle inflation and all this stuff. So don't just be caught up with the numbers on your job. It's kind of more relative income as opposed to absolute income. Like if you're making $100,000 and you're working 80 hours a week and you have this big house and this big car, you're really tied down, you're really dependent on the job. You don't have a lot of freedom. But like if you're living frugally and you don't have this really nice car and you don't have this house that you don't need, but you're able to earn $40,000 working 20 hours a week, that's going to be so much more freedom and so much more time that you're able to make an impact on people's lives, or start a side business or pursue your hobbies or do whatever you want to do. You can volunteer, you can do whatever. So I think it's relative income as opposed to absolute income. Can you guys hear those dogs? I'll just wait for that to stop. If you are living the frugal lifestyle like I am, there are certain things that you do have to live with. But to be honest, I'll take some dogs barking every once in a while in order to not have to like go to work every day. Seems like a fair trade. Money is not the answer. More money will not make you happy. You can be just as happy with little money as you can be with a lot of money. Now, obviously having more money can make a lot of problems go away. It can make things a lot easier. You can be able to help people easier and stuff like that. But more money will not automatically solve all your problems. It won't automatically, make you happy. So I've definitely fallen in this trap of thinking, when I have more money, this will happen. When I have more money, I'll be able to buy that car, I'll be able to do these things, and that'll make me happy. But as you start to realize that the reason you actually want more money is so that you never have to think about money again, and you can really focus on experiences and spending time how you want to and that type of thing. So if you have that idea of always chasing money, I don't believe that'll lead to a happy life. Less is laziness. So there's this idea that not doing a bunch of things and not, working all the time means that you're not like a productive member of society or something like that. Like there's definitely been a lot of negative feedback towards the FIRE movement and people who are trying to retire early and trying to have, this more abundant, free lifestyle that gets some pushback. Like there's that old school mentality that you should have to go to work and put in a good day's, hard work, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's not the only way to do that. There's nothing wrong with finding a way to make all of your money passively and not have a real job and just go around and do stuff. Like you can still be a productive member of society and not go into a building for 8 hours every day or not be on your laptop for 8 hours every day. Like just because somebody came up with that 8-hour guideline or 10 hours or 12 hours or whatever, if you work 1 hour and you do other things the rest of the time, you don't necessarily have to work all the time. You don't have to do stuff all the time. It's okay to do less, as the minimalist movement is showing us. I feel like I was selling something there at the end. I'm sorry. Be realistic and responsible. I do fall into this trap all the time of trying to be realistic, and there's this trap that your brain kind of puts yourself into where it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to do the easy thing all the time. And I just kind of ask myself, like, what good thing have I ever gotten that I was trying to be, realistic and responsible for? Most of it involves taking risks, and I think taking risks is the absolute most important thing you can do as a kid. Like, what good thing have you ever had that you didn't really take a risk or take a chance in order to get, right? You had to take a risk that somebody would reject you when you go up and talk to them. You have to take a risk to apply for that job that they could turn you down, that could hurt your feelings. You had to take a risk for investing because you could lose everything that you invest, but you could also gain life-changing stuff, right? Like everything that you do, you have to take a risk for. Like when you start a side business that you don't know anybody in the world who does this side business, like other people do, but you don't know anybody in your circle who does this business, and it might seem unrealistic and irresponsible to other people around you that you're spending so much time and effort into this business. But if you never take that chance and do that thing that everybody else thinks you're like wasting your time on, then you'll never have that chance to, have this $1 million business or have this big, following of people or have this merch or like whatever it is that your goal is. You'll never have that if you don't take that risk and that chance and do that thing that seems kind of crazy, but that's how you get ahead in life, and that's how you get out of the status quo, is by doing something that you don't know anybody else who is doing this thing, and that probably means it's a good thing to be doing. Waiting for the right timing. This is a trap, and there's, the analysis paralysis, where when you're trying to, buy a piece of real estate, or when you're trying to start a business or have a kid or whatever you're trying to do, there's always that, well, we'll wait until this happens and that happens and that happens and whatever, and it's never going to happen. There's never the perfect time to do anything. The perfect time to do something is right now. Now, you can be responsible and be like, well, obviously I don't have a house right now, so maybe I shouldn't have a kid, if I'm living on the street. But like there's like all these things where there's never a perfect time. A lot of time the perfect time is just to start doing something and see what happens. The future never comes. Life is always now. That's one of my favorite quotes, which really doesn't have a lot to do with anything. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'm sorry about the dogs barking. And what common rules would you recommend that people break in order to get ahead in life? Let me know down in the comments.